Hey there, lovely people. Welcome to Be Your Best You with Tash and Becky, your go-to hangout for all things spiritual, subconscious, and downright magical. We're here to sprinkle a little mystical wisdom into your everyday life and help you level up your reality.
Picture this as your cosmic coffee date, where we chat about the unseen world, blend in some psychology vibes and stir up the subconscious magic. Get ready to be the queen of your own reality, live a life that lights you up and have a blast doing it.
So grab your latte or your tea and let's dive into another episode of Be Your Best You, where the mystical meets the mundane and your best life awaits.
Cheers to creating magic together.
Let's do this.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Be Your Best You with Tash
And Becky, and this is the guest edition.
and today we had Scott Robertson on the show and oh my goodness, he's going to blow your mind. It's a whirlwind of an episode.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What a character.
Yeah.
What a storyteller.
Yes.
And as you can see from the title, he has had 2 near-death experiences. He shares with us his near-death experiences, what happened, what led up to the near-death experiences, and most importantly, really, everything he's learned since then, the abilities that he's come back with to be able to communicate with the other side, and in particular, a technique that he was told when he was over the other side, he had to come back to Earth and teach. Hold on to your seatbelts.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Hold on to your strap in your seatbelts. If you're driving, get your seatbelt on. The concepts that we speak about may seem a little bit kind of out there, even for our podcast. But what we've really wanted to come on here and say first before you listen to this podcast is stick with it. It might seem out there, woo-woo, just we touch on aliens among lots of other things. But we really, really want you to know that everything that Scott was saying is absolutely not new to us. And it's conversations that Becky and I have on our own outside the podcast, which we've been and ahhing about. Do we share these? Do we go there? Are people ready? Are we ready to talk about it? But we felt like this has been a very nice segue into opening up the door for us to then talk more about the concepts, the things that Scott has spoken about in his own way.
Yeah.
And we can kind of go on from there and expand on these things with our little spin on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, without further ado.
Oh, have a listen.
Come on, guys, and let us know what you think.
Hey guys, can we ask you a favour?
Can we ask, if you haven't already, please make sure that you're following us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you can get updated with all the latest episodes every week when they come out. You never know, it might just be the thing that you need to hear at that time. Also, don't forget you can watch us on YouTube, so make sure you head over there and subscribe to us there.
And share with all your friends.
Thanks, guys.
And today we are so excited to welcome Scott Robinson to the show. Scott, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for inviting me. And as we were saying in the pre-show, these ladies are actually, Tosh was right here in my own neighborhood, and I only knew it just as she was leaving, not far from where I am in Orlando. And they were going from Tampa, Florida, all the way up to Rhode Island on a bit of a road trip. And we were talking about Southampton, where they are. And I went to school in Southampton and how they have an exchange program called Semesters. Nothing happens by accident, and I want the audience to know that. So these 2 lovely ladies invited me onto the show to share my story. And I'm a doctor 7 times over. And I've also had 2 near-death experiences and a partridge in a pear tree. So there's a lot of things going on. The first time I died, I was 3 days out of high school graduation. My dad and mom gave me a used car for my graduation present. And I was a Jewish kid going to a Catholic school. My family is wide and varied. We have Jews, Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims in the family. Anyway, I was going to that school. But Dad gave me a graduation present because I was accepted to the Naval Academy and to the Coast Guard Academy. I had to make a choice. And so that summer, I was preparing to go to one of the academies. So Dad gave me the car, and I was going to go visit my friend and go to his family's cabin in an area called Lake Opatcon, New York, New Jersey. It's right on the border. So half the lake is in New York, half the lake is in New Jersey. So I was going to take this car and I was going to go drive there. Went to pick him up. We were going to drive up to his mom and dad's cabin. And that's when the first near-death experience occurred. I looked down. I was feeling kind of strange. And I looked through my hands and I went, if this is death, there's nothing to be afraid of. I came out of my body. There was no fear. I came up above the earth and there was a guardian angel with me. And he was big. And he said, before we go any further, I want you to turn around and take a look at the earth and tell me what you see. So I did. And I said, I see strands of lights coming up, some big, like a tree trunk, and some really, really tiny. He said, do you know what those are? And I went, no. He said, the thin ones and are individual prayers coming up towards the Holy Spirit, the healing stream. Oh, he said, the big ones are multiple people praying for the same thing or for the same person. So that's what you're saying. I said, oh, very interesting. And he said, all right, time to go now. And we went zooming down this, what appeared to be a tunnel. It's like being in the back of a car and seeing you're doing 100 miles an hour and just the lights going right by you. Just imagine a nighttime and the lights just streaming by you. And so everything's blurred. And all of a sudden, I'm there. I'm there at the gates of heaven. And there's my grandfather, who I'm named for. He died the year before my birth. And his name was Samuel George Robinson. And I was named, but I was given the name Scott Gordon Robinson. And my cousin, who was born almost the same time, he got the name Samuel George because he took that name. But we both took the same Hebrew names, Sholem Gershon. Anyway, it means Prince of Peace. It also means Son of the Sovereign, one that's connected to the source of all that is. Now, this would come into effect later when I would meet the being everybody calls Jesus. Now, how did I do that? My grandfather said to me, you do not belong here. You have to go back. You have to fulfill your purpose and missions in life. And I was bummed out. I'm like, I'm in the waiting room of heaven and it's better than anything on earth. But he said, I'm going to take you in and introduce you to some people. And then he left me, brought me into this room, and there were three beings, two facing me and one facing away from me. One was my height, wavy brown hair facing away from me, and he turned around. And I said, are you the being everybody calls Jesus? And he said, I'm called by many names, but because of your heritage, being Jewish, I will call you the little Prince of Peace, and you can call me Big Brother. You can't stay here. You don't belong. You haven't fulfilled your purpose and missions in life. When Michael the Archangel was behind him, and next to Michael, on Michael's right side, my left side, was a being to be named later, another archangel. And that being chimed in and said, but you will learn a simple technique to heal yourself and then share that with other people. This technique is called Einstellen. German word, means tuning into the source and asking for help and healing. Okay, what do I know? All I know is I'm bummed out. I can't stay here. I take my right hand, my fist, and I jam it into my left palm like this. I went, shoot. And as that happened, I got drawn back into my body and back onto the table. What table? All right, we're going to go back a second. At the same time that I'm in this accident, the police report indicated I drove 23 miles and I didn't have any memories of it. Apparently, at the 23-mile mark, we got hit and spun. And the old-fashioned safety belts in the old cars were 3 points, not like today where they grab and they pull you. I came out of the belt where I was in the driver's seat, landed into the dashboard window frame, and these old cars have a heavy metal frame, and I hit it with the left side of my face. If on x-ray, you'll see that this left side of my face is flat. So the curvature of my jaw disappeared over the years from this, and as a result, it affected my teeth. This side of my face is still curved, but it affected how my face was, my eyes, and if you come in closer, you can actually see my nose. It's kind of curved. So one thing that I recognized was I woke up for a split second on the right-hand side of the car. The door opened, I fell out, and my head hit the boot of a New Jersey super trooper or a police officer, highway patrolman. And I heard, he's DOA, dead on arrival. And then I blacked out and went back to heaven. All right, couldn't figure out how I ended up in the morgue. So he calls my parents. Apparently, I was the last case he worked with. He retired right after this. So he calls my parents and says, Your son's been in a bad accident. We want you to come identify his body. Now, he never mentioned, according to my parents, he never mentioned that I was dead. He said, I want you to come identify his body. Well, why would I come identify his body if he was still alive? So my parents jumped in the car, and by the time they got there, I'd already been pronounced dead 2 hours. All right. Apparently, they put my body on a gurney, and by the time they arrived, my mom and dad came to the hospital, and the county morgue was actually at this hospital in Patterson, New Jersey. So mom and dad said, well, should I pull in the front and go into the ER? Mom said, no, I have this feeling, go to the back. And then lo and behold, the back door was the morgue door. They walk in these double doors. There's no one at the front desk. It's dark, no lights on. They walk down this hallway, and there's a man wearing scrubs. And they go to talk to this guy pushing a body into the refrigeration unit. And as they get closer, this man vanishes. Just pop. And my mom and dad were like, what happened? He was there a second ago. Where'd he go? And they figured because the light was out just across from the door, and there was another door behind where the light was out, they figured he just walked down that corridor, opened it, and went up the steps. But they said, well, how did we just both miss him? All right. So they go to ask, and he's gone. They only see this one body, and they can't see it because it's covered up with a shroud. And they go to pull back the shroud, and it's me. And I sit up. Mom, Dad, I met God. I met Grandpa. And they're like, son, you had a head injury. Come with us. And I'm like, okay. And then I went, oh man, do I have a bad headache? And it's right here where I have a dent where I hit the grabber in the car, hit me right there as a dent. And I went, oh, I don't feel so good. Realization was, uh-oh, I had something happen to me. So mom took one arm, dad took the other arm. They helped me jump off this thing because they slide this thing into the refrigeration unit and then they shut the door on you. And I know that if I had woken up inside that actual refrigeration, I would have freaked out. Let me out. I'm glad the door was open and they didn't have far to pull me out of there. So I jumped down and I'm like, oh, and I was so glad the light was not on because my eyes could not take the light. They walked down this dark corridor, out the doors, and into the back seat of my dad's Volkswagen, where I laid down because I wanted to vomit from the head injury. The next day, they took me to Montefiore Hospital in New York City in the Bronx. My dad worked at Jerome Volkswagen in the Bronx, just down the block from Yankee Stadium, where the baseball Yanks play, and right down the block from Montefiore Hospital. I went in to see the main neurologist there, and he wasn't there. So I got his assistant, Dr. Barry Ludwig, neurologist. And he happened to be studying about near-death experiences. This is 1996. And Raymond Moody's book about the near-death experiences had just come out. He had just written a book the year before, and it was published. And so he said, I don't really know what has transpired by you, but your EKG and other things are way off the charts, especially your blood test for dimethyltryptamine. That's the pineal gland produces dimethyltryptamine. And he said they're off the charts. And this is common. Even the National Institutes of Health out of Washington reports how to differentiate between a real near-death experience and not. And mine averages 22% higher than normal for the pineal gland. So this has been out of the way, a great painkiller, because that's what it is. It's an hallucinogen and painkiller, but it also has the ability to help you through your pineal gland to connect to the source of all that is, the one, the all, the everything, the big guy, the big gal, the it, whatever you call God, the creator, it helps you to connect. And what they started to tell me about was all these wonderful things from the other side. Now, I did have some psychic gifts as a kid because I was born to a mother born on Halloween who also had psychic gifts. But my gifts were helping people like gamble. I wouldn't call them savory. I could tell who was going to win a football game, the American football, by what score and who was going to win on any given day. And now the one caveat was I couldn't bet on the game. Other people could take that information and bet and they could win money. But I stopped it. Made me very popular for a short time. But the fact was they weren't giving me anything for it. They just wanted it and said, oh yeah, nice job. And I said, no. You're not giving me anything for it. I'm not giving you any answers. But I actually wrote a paper about that when I was a senior in high school. And I did an entire thing on calculus on probability and statistics about how to predict who was going to win a game and by what score. And I did it with 2 Super Bowls, and both happened to be the games between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. As a result, I got an A, and I went on. So I wasn't gonna use it for betting, but I did get a good grade from it.
Brilliant.
So, and the strange, yeah, but the strange thing is, I could tell you the answer before I knew the question. And so these were things as I was going into the near-death experience. Now, when I would come back, I could smell the angels. I know good guy angels from bad guy angels. The good guy angels smell like the most heavenly fragrance. It's delicious. It's like lavender and lemon blossoms. And if you've ever heard the term dragon's blood, it's an incense. And it's just like and every angel has their own unique and distinct fragrance. The bad guys stink like ashtrays. They all stink like ashtrays. Good guys, they appear in front of me and slightly to the left. Bad guys from behind me, the blind side, to the shoulders and behind. And they talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And good guys, 5, 6 words. That's it. Very short. And I get a picture and a feeling so that it can always come from my heart to my head. Evil will mix good and bad, and it comes from your head and goes to your heart. Gives you fear. If it does not give you love, joy, peace, or harmony, it's not from good or God. If it gives you fear or concern or doubt or worry or lack of forgiveness or anger and rage, that's not from God. That's evil. Also, shadows. If a shadow appears in a room, yet there's no light where there should be a shadow, then that's the evil. So I'll know when somebody or some things in the room. So the smell stinks and there's a shadow where it doesn't belong. And you'll get this kind of creepy, tingling, cold sensation on the back of your neck or your spine. That's evil. So what is this world? This world is a world between dichotomies between good and evil. God created this. It's not a prison planet. It's a schooling planet. Its job to teach you. And only the bravest, most courageous children of God get to come to this world to prove their mettle. Means they got to work their way through this to prove their reality. Now, there's 3 kinds of children that come here. Children of God that come directly from heaven. That's usually the near-death experience people, like me. It has to be pre-programmed before you come to Earth. Second, you'll have starseed children. These are children who were beings on other worlds who came from other planets and mastered their realities and came here to help the children of this world grow up and join the 4th and 5th dimension. So it's the same thing with children of God who come from heaven. And then there's the souls that were born here. They're the genetically modified souls of the Anunnaki and the reptiles called the dragons and all the other beings, such as the parasitic greys that everybody knows about. But there's 9 groups of beings that come here to either help humanity or fight against humanity and damage it. Remember, we're on a world between good and evil. Our job is to master this reality, endure, persevere, and overcome it. Their job? To destroy us and interfere, manipulate us, and take our souls. They're like vampires. They'll suck our souls dry. So they want to do everything they can to destroy humanity. Our job's to make sure that they don't do it. So beings of a higher nature, like Jesus, Michael, are going to come to this world to make sure that that doesn't happen. We're here between the dichotomy between good and evil. Your job? You share this story for other people. Unique things. 1, never commit suicide. You're going to have to repeat the whole world over again. Number 2, never give up. We're supposed to be courageous souls. We need to keep fighting. You want the universe to back you? You want to use the Fibonacci numbers of the universe, the spirals, the energetic things, the Solfeggio numbers for helping and healing? We are divine frequencies living in a physical world with a manifestation that puts both the soul, spirit, and the body together, all gifts from God. Parts of us are God. The other part, the body, is a gift from God. And our job is to be able to master this, put it all together, and do something to help people. My job? To teach people simple techniques to heal themselves so that they can master this reality. Will everybody do that? No. 70% of this planet will never wake up at this time, even if there was a nuclear war. They're not going to wake up. Our job, not to let that to occur. We do this thing called Einstellen, tuning into the source, asking for help and healing. And I do that for free every other Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern time I'm here in Florida, and I have people from 23 countries that come and visit us at any given time. We had some people from England recently who've been with us, from Ireland, from Spain, from France, from Italy, from Poland, from Germany, you name it. There's 23 countries that come and visit us. Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean countries, South Africa, Nigeria, Mali, Israel, Palestine, you name it. Why is the book There Are No Lines in Heaven called There Are No Lines in Heaven? Twofold. Number one, I had a patient who was a particular sect of Christianity who told me that only his sect of Christianity went to heaven or was first in line to go to heaven. I said, that's funny. I've been up there twice and they never said anything. And he said, yeah, that's what I'm taught. I said, okay, very interesting. I said, then why are you hiring me? I'm Jewish, right? I may be Messianic Jew. I believe in Jesus, but why are you hiring me? And he said, I heard from the Gerson Institute, who I used to work with, that you are related. And I said, yeah, I'm related to Jesus in the line of David. I'm related to Aaron and Moses in the Bible. So my mom's side of the family. I have the actual genetic trait that says I'm related to Aaron and Moshe. My grandfather's name was Moses. And in that, the line of David, David is the king who descends from that, builds the temple in Jerusalem, and his line becomes where Jesus extends from. Jesus would have been my cousin, about 500 times removed, but he would have been my cousin. And so when Jesus says to me, call me big brother, in the days of when he was alive on earth, there was no name or word for cousin. It was more closely related to big brother. So in Judaism, you have godfathers and godmothers. What happened was if a parent died, then your godfather and your godmother would take over the responsibility if you were not old enough. So he would have been a godparent. And therefore, I'm a little brother. He's a big brother. And he calls me the little Prince of Peace. Well, what do we call Jesus? The Prince of Peace. You want to see what Jesus looks like? Go to the drawing or painting, gorgeous painting, by Akiana Krumeric. At 8 years old, she was already drawing the face of Jesus. And there's two versions of it. One's called the face of Jesus. The other one's called the Prince of Peace. And you'll actually see Big Brother. Wide nose, skin, baby dark hair, right? The only reason Jews who come from Europe are white is because they kind of lost their tan. But they didn't derive from that area. All right. So now people go, well, you had 2 near-death experiences. What does that have to do with any of this other stuff? I went on, and since I was told I would learn a simple technique to heal myself and share that with other people called Einstellen, Einstellen, which means tuning into the source, asking for help and healing. It's a German word. Ein is one, Stellen the stars. Pay attention, listen up, pay attention to the stars. All right? Its third definition is tuning into the source, asking for help and healing. All right. With that, I would then grow up and I would go on to become, number one, a chiropractor. Number two, I would go on to become a medical examiner for the state of California. But before that, I went to visit Israel because I was told by Spirit, go now or you will not get the chance. So I traveled. I hear these voices. They tell me when to do it and when not to do it. I traveled to Israel. I was in chiropractic college in Chicago at the time. So talk about pasty and pale. You only get sun like 3 months out of the year. Just sort of like Southampton. If you don't come to California or in Florida, you're trying to get kind of pasty. So I was there and I became really brown. And I went and I was told to go into this museum. And I'd walk into this museum and I heard, follow me. I walked in, I heard, turn around. And I looked at this painting and I heard, now read. And I read the story that was on the painting. The painting was made up of graphics all put together in this beautiful form. And it said, I traveled around the world and came to Israel to find God, only to realize that God has been with me in my heart the whole time. I went, guys, thanks for reminding me. So I come back from that journey and I always wanted to learn to fly. And so I became a private pilot. My dad was a pilot, and my mom used to make the engines for my dad's plane in World War II. She worked for Wright Patterson, and it was Wright Aeronautics, Curtis Wright. She made the engines for the B-25s, the B-29s. My dad was a bomber pilot. So at the end of World War II, mom and dad met because he crashed his airplane. So he was sent home. And B-25s were in Europe a lot. B-29s never really made it there except for one experimental one. But my dad was going to be sent, since the war in Europe ended, he was going to be sent to bomb Japan. That was my dad's job. But this plane crash prevented him from going on that nuclear bombing mission, because he was actually selected by Curtis LeMay for one of the people that would have been with the Enola Gay and Boxcar. Those two airplanes were the ones that bombed Japan with the nuclear weapons. Thank goodness he didn't go. So he was sent home, and I wanted to be a pilot like my dad. Hence, I was going to go to the academy because my dad was an officer. That's why I was going to go to the academy. All right, long story short, second time, I'm on one of these flying journeys for the state of California Division of Workers' Comp to follow up on this case of this man. And so I was flying up to Sacramento from Long Beach, California. And I was always practicing. For every 1 hour I actually flew, I practiced 2 hours every week to make sure I was always doing my landings properly. And I was flying a Beach Sierra C-24R. Was the third model C of 24, model number 24. R was retractable landing gear. So I was new to retractable landing gear. I always flew with planes that had fixed landing gear. So I had to practice a lot more because the planes were heavier. These gear takes a lot of weight, energy, and they don't land quite the same way. And my pilot trainer was always getting me up to height. So if I sank, it wouldn't be a problem. I have latitude and altitude to play with, so that I could practice losing the engine power and making sure that the wheels were out or down, depending on the circumstances. On one of those training missions, I went through the same thing. I started to feel really funny. I was up at 12,000 feet. I was out in Lake Arrowhead, California, where they were up at high altitude in a winter day, because I was going to have to travel during the winter time, and it was cold and it was wet, and you could have ice on the runway. So I was going to have to track this guy down, and I had to land on a runway that was cold and wet. So I was practicing, and 12,000 feet is a little above the oxygen level. Now, normally in a normal person, between 8 and 12,000 feet without oxygen is not a problem if oxygen is already getting to your brain. Mine apparently wasn't. So I'm getting really nauseated and dizzy, and I slumped over the yoke instead of the steering wheel. It's called a yoke. I slumped over the steering wheel, and thank goodness my pilot instructor, Lisa, was with me, and she pulled the plane out. It went into a dive. We dropped down to 4,000 feet below that to less than 8,000 feet, pulled out, and I regained consciousness. She said, enough for today. We're going back home to Long Beach. So I did. Then I got in the car and I'm like, I'm not feeling so good. So I wanted to drive over to my medical examiner's office in Long Beach, where they had a flight examiner's office, because every year a pilot has to be re-examined. And I went in, I was due for an exam anyway, and he said, you're severely anemic and you're bleeding internally and we can't figure out where. So they sent me to USC Medical Center. And that's where everybody knows, in the United States, there's a soap opera called General Hospital. Well, General Hospital, the opening introduction with all of the cast member names and welcome to today's episode, is taken of the big fences from the 30s of this Gothic style hospital, and they take the picture of the hospital with the gates opening. General Hospital, because it's actually what it used to be called, General Hospital. And they sent me up to there because behind there is the nephrology department. And I went to the nephrology department, and these doctors did more scanning on me. And they said, we don't like what we see. There's a shadow on your kidney, and we don't give you long to go. We're going to send you to this other hospital for further investigations. But if you don't take our medicine, we don't think you have more than 9 months to live. But we just want to verify that with these other doctors. So they put me on the operating table, and they accidentally overdosed me with fentanyl and some other drugs, the same drugs that killed Michael Jackson. They stopped my heart. I came out of my body and floated above my body. It's called a veridical near-death experience. Didn't go all the way back home to heaven, but an angel was standing there floating with me. And I said, can I go home now? And I heard, no, you still haven't fulfilled your purpose and missions in life. And I said, would you kindly remind me what's my mission and purpose? Remember, this is 18 years later into the future. So they said, you will learn a simple technique to heal yourself and share that with other people. I said, okay, thanks. Well, meanwhile, this veridical experience, I'm floating outside my body. I see the doctors and the nurses. I hear the doctor and the nurse talking to each other about stuff they shouldn't be talking about. Like they're married to other people and they're talking about each other and things they should never have been speaking about when you're over someone who's under medication. Let me tell you, your body might be out, but you're still listening. So people are beginning to get the idea. I saw that they had the same kind of shoes, the same kind of pattern that they were wearing, and they were really friendly with one another. When I was done, and I did wake up from that surgery, I told the nurse and the doctor. The nurse stopped the affair. She left the hospital, and the doctor transferred for them to another department. They told me, the 3 doctors, if I didn't take their medicine, I wouldn't be alive. Go home and write your obituary and make sure your insurance is in order. I went down to Mexico and I worked with the Gerson Institute and Hulda Clark Cure for All Diseases, which is parasites and all those other things and toxic heavy metals. And eventually Hulda Clark would die and all these things would be poo-pooed, but they're beginning to find out that they can get rid of tumors and other bad, nasty things by getting rid of parasites. Doctor in France said, oh, we just figured that out. I said, no, you didn't. It's been known for a long time. Hulda Clark, and even in the 30s when Royal Raymond Rife figured that out. And before that, in the 1800s, they knew about these things and who far back farther. Worked with the Gerson Institute. I was both the patient and the doctor there and with Hulda Clark. Again, patient and doctor there. And I came back 3 months later to the same 3 doctors. Actually, it was 2 originally. The 3rd doctor came in afterwards. And one said to me, hey, we don't understand. Your current films, x-rays, radiology department, MRIs, CTs, don't match when we sent you out. We must have made a mistake. Keywords, made a mistake. You're talking to a former medical examiner. I go to court for a living. He shut up. My file disappeared. That doctor retired. The other doctor died. And the 3rd doctor, who was the tallest doctor I've ever seen, he had to be 7'1". He went to school at Tulane University in Louisiana, and he got his degree as medicine. He was the youngest of the 3 doctors. And he said, you can't heal from anything unless it's our medicine. I said, no, your medicine would have killed me. And he said, well, then we must have made a mistake. I wanted to punch him, but I'm only 5'8". I couldn't reach past his belly button. I went outside and I did Einstellen. I forgave him. I blessed him. I thanked him and I sent him love and I never returned. Because he said, no, you can't heal without our medicine. And I said, sorry. My actual words were, screw you. But I think in England they say blimey or limey, or I forget the terms. Bloody, you bloody bastard, whatever the words they would give. But there's words that they say it more apropos in England. Long story short, I never went back there and I went onto the spiritual path to help other people. Now, Spirit and my God voice would divinely guide me to a particular course called Healing Through the Teachings, Spiritual Healing Through the Teaching of Bruno Bruning, Medically Verifiable. Came out of Germany. My mom is saying, why are you going to Germany? They're Germans. They hate Jews there. I go, Mom, I just have this feeling. I got to go there. All right, went to this course. I come back with this pamphlet, Healing Through the Teaching of Bruno Bruning, Medically Verifiable, called Einstellen. And my mom looks at that and gasps. I said, what's the matter, Mom? She said, that's the man. That's the man. I said, what man? What are you talking about, Mom? She said, that's the man that was pushing your body down the hallway into the morgue door and vanished. I said, Mom, that man died 2 months after I was born. And bingo, the light went on. I went, oh my goodness, that's the 3rd angel in the room who said to me I would learn a simple technique to heal myself and share that with other people. He also said one other thing, because he was a player to be named later. In other words, I didn't know who he was. He said, you would figure out who I am sometime into the future, but my body is not called Gruning. Well, they call my body Gruning, but that's not who I am. And I know he's another angel. Wow. So my job, come back to teach this technique. Does everybody want to learn this technique? Absolutely not. People will yell at me and scream at me and I hate you and you don't know what you're talking about and you're creating a new religion. I'm not doing any of the above. I'm listening to my angels and my God voice. And I'm telling you, if you want to learn a simple technique to heal yourself and share that and create miracles or astonishments in your life, you'd give this a shot. No, I can't believe that. All right. So I teach it 3 ways: for devout Christians, for Jews and Muslims, and anyone else. And I teach it in a way that anybody can learn it. It's easy to learn. It takes me 20 to 30 minutes to teach you. So at 1:30, I teach all of the new people how to do this. And at 2 o'clock till 3:30, we have people from all over the world, 23 countries at least, who come and join us, and we do Einstellen in a group setting. You can't do that. Yes, I can. I also teach all sorts of other things. Now, doing Einstellen is free. It will always be. If you want to give me a donation for it, that's fantastic. That goes towards the organization itself. But for me, since my job was to teach simple techniques, I also teach for private clients. They're God's patients, my clients, because I'm a POA or PMA, a private membership association, a 508c13, theocentric Elomasonary, or a corporation soul. They all have the same name. And I teach the power of prayer and the prayer you're going to need for your own help and healing. Now, some people, celebrities, say certain prayers make a difference. They can make millions of dollars, but I'm not here to do it for ego and greed. I will ask for a donation. And if I make a house call, it's going to be a much higher donation than if it's online because it's cheaper. So you go read on my website, therearenolinsinheaven.com, and you'll read about the different things. Well, some people are not into spiritual healing. All right. They're into frequency medicine, which I teach, and they're into pushing faint matter, which is another ancient, simple technique to heal yourself by pushing dark energy out of your body. And I will help you remove negative emotions that don't serve you, that are holding on to the things that are attracting the evil illness. Remember, we're in a dichotomy between good and evil. So I teach simple methods and techniques. I actually teach 12 of them. And not only do I work with private clients, in January, God has said you're going to start to focus on teaching more doctors. So I teach doctors. I've actually been teaching doctors, but now private practitioners, MDs, DCs, DOs, PhDs, dentists, veterinarians, you name it, acupuncturists, massage therapists. I teach those types of people in a once a month weekend course, either between 8 hours or 12 hours. I will teach a class of which then you can pay me for those classes. And at the end of 1 year, if you've taken all the classes, you become certified in alternative, complementary, integrative, and spiritual medicine. Of course, my favorite is Einstellen. Second favorite, pushing faint matter. And I go on and on. My book, There Are No Lines in Heaven, is going to come out this winter in the 4th edition. This book never ends. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. The actual book itself currently is $68 American, US. And of course, shipping to, for instance, Canada and England is like half the price of the book to ship it to you guys. So I recommend that you just download it on Amazon and Kindle. It's $9.99 Earth dollars American. That would be what? Maybe $12 or $15 UK pound.
No, it'd be less for us.
Less for you. I'm sorry, it's the other way around. So maybe it's six pounds, and you'll download it instantly and read it. I recommend that everybody read Chapter 5, Module 5 to be prepared in order to go through a private session with me or to be able to do Einstellen with me on any given Sunday. So remember, Sunday, it's free of charge, but donations are acceptable. And then with me, there's an actual donation fee request. So do a one-on-one. And I also go into things like, what's your mission and purpose in life? For you guys, it's helping people through this unique method. Some people don't know what their mission and purpose in life is. Some people don't even know why they're here. Why do I have to come here? Usually because you volunteered to come here and you just don't remember. So I teach people about past lives, present lives, and future lives. How does that incorporate? Why are you going through the physical challenges that you're going through? Did you know that you had 3 previous lives as a prisoner in something? You were abused. So I see a lot of people who have been abused. Women who've been abused by men, not only narcissistic men, and then they don't realize that it comes from past lifetimes and they didn't break a bad habit or a burden they've been carrying from lifetime to lifetime. You can't live more than one life. Yes, you can. You can live an uncounted amount of lifetimes. The average human being who grows up spiritually has lived at least 630 lifetimes, if not close to 2,500 lifetimes. The thing is, with the lives of the beings from other worlds, they live much longer lives, 450 to 600 years, Earth years. We don't live that long. Why? Because we destroy ourselves. We're on an experimental planet, which is a schooling planet, and you're going to go through many lifetimes and life and death repeatedly until you begin to learn to master this reality. Why? Because we want to bring ourselves into bringing heaven to earth, not hell on earth. We want to make sure that we can elevate our consciousness and awareness to the fourth and fifth dimension, and we don't want to destroy this world like we've done 6 previous times before. We were destroyed multiple times by alien beings and other things. Why? Because they didn't like the experiment they were running. Or, see, a lot of these alien beings that go out of their way to cause us harm, they feed off of us like vampires. They want us to be constantly afraid and angry. So what do I teach people? How to get rid of fear, doubt, overwhelm, and to help regain forgiveness. Those are 4 things that the other side has taught me. You take care of those things and maybe add frustration in getting rid of that, and you will stop playing the game, which allows evil entities or alien beings to capture your soul and or take your energy like a vampire. So I can teach people how to get rid of those emotions in 60 seconds. That's one of the things I do for private clients. Okay. I also teach how you can help this heal your pineal gland, your third eye. Your pineal gland is being destroyed by G5, your phones, computers, aluminum and spraying in the sky, this chemtrails, all sorts of pollution that's going on calcifies your pineal gland. Well, I teach people how to uncalcify your pineal gland. Remember I said people with near-death experience have a much higher DMT level. So even with a partially calcified pineal, I still have a DMT level that's a lot higher than most people. But I teach people how to utilize certain very simple things to clear that out, including verbal frequencies. They're called balancing by numbers. And we actually get to use these balancing by numbers, verbal frequencies, to stop things. They're like verbal medicine. Boom, boom. You don't have to take a drug. You repeat this number and it works just the same. Or if you can't believe in any of those things, if you remember I told you behind me there's a bunch of machines, a Doug coil, Raymond Rife machine, Spooky Tubes, molecular enhancer, which uses both frequencies and ozone stuck together. Oh no, you can't do that. Hence, I had to leave the medical profession for 2 reasons. 1, you can't do that. And number 2, because they can't let me talk about God. California, Oregon, Washington, New York, Massachusetts, and Michigan have taken out of their state constitutions the right to heal or be cured by God. It used to be in any other state, you can be cured by an MD doing their therapies and God. California said, no, you can't talk about God. So I went and become a licensed religious counselor, like a chaplain, but still, you can't talk about God. So it's like, nah, I got to leave California. They've become communistic, socialistic, whatever garbage. And it's happening in London, England, because some of the people I work with are saying they're taking the rights to practice Christianity, Judaism, away from them and allowing Islam, but not Judaism and Christianity. And they're actually being told you can't protest and we're going to throw you in jail. We're going to sick you on, the police on you. I'm like, that's not England. The Church of England was created so they could believe differently than the Roman Catholic Church. And now they're turning on their own people. And I've been told by some of my people that even in Canada and England and Australia, especially Australia, if you don't have a chip put in you, you can't buy food, you can't do anything. And they're preventing my people from buying my books online. They've actually taken pictures. Amazon says the book is out of stock, or how can it be out of stock? It's on demand. You order it, they make it for you, they ship it to you. And they keep showing the second edition. Well, the second edition is out of stock. It's in the third edition now, going into the fourth edition. And they actually block and interfere with the ability for people to get this book. Now, There Are No Lines in Heaven was originally designed for doctors and their patients to learn how to deal with death and dying, hospice work, emotional care, abuse work, any number of things, dental care, and how the dental care affects the bacteria in your mouth, which could affect your heart, your brain, and a whole slew of other things. It talks about how you can find simple answers. But the bottom line, you don't need any machines. You just need the creator, whatever you call the creator, the God, the big guy, the big gal, the big brother, the it, the one, the all, the everything. And all you need is that. And that alone, you can create miraculous astonishments. And on a future episode, I'm going to share with you guys, and you're going to be invited to come and do Einstellen with me. And you will meet some other podcasters that you'll want to meet so that you can share along with people who are doctors of hypnotherapy and past life regression therapists and nurses and acupuncturists. And you're going to meet a whole slew of people that I work with that I'm going to introduce you to so that you can invite them to shows about the things you do. Whitney Aronoff, you'll see me a lot on Whitney's shows. It turns out her last name is Aronoff. Now, she's not Jewish in this life, but her father's side of the family is Jewish. Aronoff means children of Aaron, and it's Russian. 3 sects of groups people directly descendants of Aaron and Moses are Aronoffs, Horowitz, and Simons. And my Simon's family originates there in England. They also are South African. And there is a book written, The Book of Simon, the family of Simon. And a lot of my relatives are there in all sorts of the countries, both in London and outside. So I have a cousin, and I found we had 5,500 to 6,500 English family members I didn't even know we were related to. And they've gone to Canada, they've gone to Australia, New Zealand. They're all over the place. Many of them aren't Jewish, and we found out genetically, I have 100 rabbis in the family, past history, and I have 50 priests in the family. So they've gone all over the place.
Yeah.
I have a grandmother who was a black grandmother, African American, comes from North Africa, Moroccan, and Central African, from not Cambodia. That's the wrong name of it. It's near Mali. It's in the Cameroon. Her family came from Cameroon, not Cambodia. And that side of our family is related to African Americans who came from that part of the world. I have a Chinese side of the family who were Buddhists, and they come from mainland China and Taipei, Taiwan. And so we have family from every walk of life and religious background. And so for me, there are no lines in heaven. And if you remember, I was talking about how the book got its name. Well, it not only came from Mr. Brown, who when he had his near-death experience came back and said, Dr. Robinson, you're right. There are no lines in heaven. Everybody's welcome up there. And I said, I'm going to use that in the name of the book. Well, on the day his did die and he never came back, an angel appeared into the room and said, there are no lines in heaven when you reach the pearly gates. No Christians in the center, Jews to the left, or Muslims to the right, for you are all children of God and you are all welcome. Then the angel went on to laugh how silly human beings are, how they don't remember who they are. And that's how the name actually stuck. And on the back of my book and inside the book, that story is on the back. That little poem, that little ditty is there for people to understand. Well, I have people who attack me. No way, this story isn't real and you can't heal simply. Yes, God is the greatest physician and there is no incurable, only people who cannot yet believe. Even the ancient philosopher and PhD and Christian Science person in the 17 and 1800s, Paracelsus, he said it back then. There's only people who cannot believe. You must have faith in God, who and whatever you call God. You must believe in a being stronger than us, whether it's Jesus or Michael or Bruno. And you must trust in that being to pull us up higher, and you must believe in your own divinity. Hence, faith, God, trust in a being stronger than us, and belief in yourself, a triangle, the Trinity. So am I here to interrupt or interfere with anybody's religious belief? No. Believe however you want to believe. I'm not going to take that away from you. But if you're having a problem with anything I say, then that's your issue, not mine. I am here to help as many people as possible because I have a true deadline, a time when God said this must be done by January the 20th, 2030, when in Europe, the United Nations will implement the 2030 policy to make you must be under their rule and their divine thing. I mean, you guys are having fires all over Europe like we normally do when the Democrats are in power. right? Nothing against Democrats or Republican. It has nothing to do with actual spirituality. In Europe, the only countries that aren't having fires are the Polish government, which now stepped away from the one world government. Russia, you won't see any fires there, right? Anybody who pulled away from the WHO, World Health Organization, no fires. Here, when we were having fires in California, online, there was a story about the fact they were shooting blue beams down, and the only houses that survived had blue roofs. And now they're going to modify that so blue roofed beings can be destroyed by laser beams. There's beings up there. It's called Project Blue Beam. How they will use holographic images to fool the people into a one world government, new world order, trilateral commission, build a border association, and so that the elite families, 100 of them or 300 people, can control the massive population using an excuse of aliens. We're under attack. We got to blow things up. No, the aliens have been here for a long time. We're the aliens to this planet, and they want to control. Your objective? We don't want to work with the evil anymore. We want to bring heaven to earth, and it takes courage to live that life. Yes, a lot of people have stood up for what they believed in and been killed for it. But the biggest thing is you have to step up and say, I'm not going to let anything interfere with my divine freedom, because you're under divine management. And if you give up your divine rights and say for security, a place to live, and food, and a place to work, you're going to give up your rights, be embedded with a chip, and they're going to put chips in now, not that way anymore. Bill Gates has decided he's going to put it in cosmetics and even through mosquitoes so they can embed it in you whether you want it or not. So do you want to go with the one world government, or do you want to go with the one God government, whatever you call God? Are they going to use excuses why they're going to destroy this planet? No, we're going to pray ourselves out of it. How do you do that? You do Einstellen. Is Einstellen the only game in town? No, it's not the only game in town. It's just the one I've been sent back to Earth. And of course, I use pushing faint matter. Our objective, raise our levels to the 4th and 5th dimension and get the heck out of here. Our world will continue bringing heaven to earth, not the hell on earth they want to bring into and control. Well, people said, well, how do you count for these blue bloods? Let me tell you a little secret. The word blue blood comes from copper and blue. Where did these copper-based rather than iron-based humans come from? Because they were genetically modified by aliens, especially the dragons, the draconians. They also come from an area of Orion's belt as well. Very powerful beings. They came here genetically modified families, and they mixed with them, and their blood was different. It is leptirian, lizard-like. They don't get affected by the COVID vaccine. They don't get affected by anything because it's made with the COVID vaccine is made with venom from different lizard type beings and also other things as well. And why do they have control? Because they wanted their descendants to control this planet. So you're going to stand up and do that? Are you going to let your soul be taken like food, taken away? Are you going to fight for your reality and realize that in order to have freedom, you have to step up to it and stand up? Now, is my little show going to make a difference for most people? No, they're not even going to listen to this show. They're not going to pay attention. He's a weirdo. Weird, third definition, spiritually unique and different. Are you going to make a difference for yourselves there and their families there in England? I sure hope so. Is this show going to be banned by YouTube? Maybe. I know I have a Rumble channel and it's Truth Social just to make sure it's not. Are we going to talk about something else and bring heaven to earth? I sure hope so. Is my measly little book going to make a difference for a lot of people? Some. Is it going to make a difference for you two ladies? Have what I discuss now made a difference for you in anything I've shared? I mean, like I've gone way off the deep end from near-death experiences to talking about one world governments. Can it make a difference? Only for those that are listening. So if people want to see me on a one-on-one session and you want to work together, I'm just a little person with just my feelings, not my opinions. God doesn't want to know my opinions. God wants to know how I feel. And I'm going to share with you techniques to help you raise your consciousness, heal what doesn't need to be there, old burdens from past lifetimes, and help bring your consciousness into the 4th and 5th dimension. Will this touch some hearts and some heads? I hope so. And will it touch those folks in Europe that watch your videos? I hope so. Evil knows who evil is. Good knows who God is. 10% of this world will work voluntarily for the evil. I'm not going to do anything to stop them. That's their job. That's what they're here for. This world is theirs to do as they see fit. It was an agreement between them and God. So I'm not arguing with them. That's their job. They can destroy humanity as many times. There is no karma. They can do anything they want. This world is theirs. Now, there's 10% of this world that are working for good and God. And we know who we are. We're children of God, or we're still starseed children. We know, and we're here to bring the light in. The bait, everything else, 80% in the middle, fair game. So I'm not going to stop the evil from doing anything. It is their job. The Church of Satan has actually said, this is our world. And they are absolutely correct. It is their world. Now, are you going to volunteer? Who are you going to work for? Who are you going to be controlled and manipulated by? You're going to wake up and smell the divine roses? You're going to take this simple technique that I was told to share with other people? Right now, we have members in 137 countries, over 100,000 members worldwide. My group, just a small little group that I take care of online, and the people I work with, 1,883 of them, either come and join us or don't come and join us. We live in a world of freedom of free will. So tell me, Becky, what are you going to do?
I'm coming.
Gosh, what are you going to do? Right.
We'll be there. We'll be there.
You're going to learn the simple technique to heal yourself. It's not just for yourself and your family. It's for all of your neighbors around the world. Will it make a big difference for most people? No. Like I said, most people, the people who badmouth me and what I do for God, they're never going to come to see this. As a matter of fact, they'd be surprised they even watching this episode. He's too weird. He's out of this world. Yeah, literally, sometimes I am out of this world. This is a body. This is just like the clothing I put on. This is much as a tool as anything else. In one lifetime, I'm this Jewish kid who believes in Jesus. And I'm a chiropractor who has this ability to help people heal themselves. In another, my family's an example. Sometimes we got black family members. Sometimes we got Chinese family members. I mean, I grew up with everybody under the sun, every shade of gray, 50 shades of gray. The fact is, we all come to this world to share who we are and experience this reality. A spiritual being having a physical experience. The evil has every right to do anything they want to anybody, and there is no karma. So I tell people there is no karma. The only thing is you have a contract through love to come back to help other people. I was like, I was bummed out. I got to come back. I got to go back to that place. It's the worst place in the entire universe, and I got to be here to teach people? What, are you crazy? They said, oh, you signed a contract. I said, let me see the fine print. And we actually did. All of us volunteered to do this. 70% of the planet cannot wake up if God stood in front of them. 30% have the opportunity to wake up, but even if those claim to wake up, 28% of that 30% aren't going to wake up. 2% will. Come join and be the 2%. You're not to interfere with the planet or those that rule the planet. You're not here to interfere with them. Evil has a tendency to step on their own feet anyway. They hurt themselves. That's not my job. My job's only to teach those people who are ready and willing to bring heaven to earth and open up this thing. 1, through Einstellen, and 2, through private sessions, and 3, to teach the doctors there is another way. Even the CIA has proven through the Monroe Institute, this is an illusion. It's a holographic universe, and that the spirit we call soul is the true us. Come and learn the simple techniques to heal yourself, not just Einstein. Prayer, pushing faint matter, verbal frequencies, machines, and eliminating emotions that don't serve you. You can go to my website, therearenolinsinheaven.com, and review what I ask you to look at. Read Chapter 5, Module 5, and you'll be prepared either to do Einstellen with us or to have a private session. And if you're a doctor, a healing practitioner of any kind, we have lots of stuff to teach you because one doctor has 1,000 patients. So isn't it easier for me to teach 100 doctors? That's 100,000 people who will learn how to do these simple techniques to heal themselves and share that with other people, bringing heaven to earth. If I go one-on-one with patients, it'll take me forever, and I don't have that much longer to go. So, and when they say your time's up, you got to go home. And then I'll say, adios, muchachos. And either aliens will come and get me, and they'll put me in hibernation for a while and use me after they've destroyed the planet, or I'll elevate to the 4th and 5th dimension, or I go back home. Doesn't matter. I get to fulfill my purpose and missions in life. Now, anyone out there listening, you get to do the same. You ready? These two ladies are here to share with you some very simple things that can make a profound difference in your reality. Again, we live on a dichotomy of good and evil. Who do you want to work for? Who do you listen to? Up to you. It's your choice. Freedom of free will without constraint. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you guys today.
It's been amazing. What a whirlwind.
Any
have
questions you have?
Well, I just wanted to, because we were talking about the synchronicities, you know, when you mentioned about me being over in Florida with you, you said that at the beginning. Well, I just want to let you know another synchronicity. You might have seen Becky and I just did that, but I know you said, God, how have we got onto the one world order kind of theme from near-death experiences? But Becky and I were having that exact conversation that you just said. I was telling her about it yesterday.
I've been studying about that for years. I knew about that from the Mormon church because one of my family members is Mormon. And if you read about that, they tell all about it. But I'm not here to stop the evil. Evil's going to do what's going to do. You have to know, in order to let go of it, you have to stop playing in the holographic universe the same way. You have to learn how to get out of the matrix that they call this universe. And once you start to learn that using Einstellen, is it only Einstellen? No, there's a lot of techniques. You read my book, I talk about 10 other techniques that you can use. Transcendental meditation, nature, prayer. I mean, it goes on and on. This is the game. They know how to play it. Start to learn the game so you can walk away from it and create a different reality. I took mine through the 508 C13 theocentric eleemosynary spiritual charity. I stopped being a normal doctor and I went into a different way. I work with the Commission on Religious Counseling and Healing, different way. I work with the Romano-Byzantine Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox Church. These are where the priests can be married priests, not like the Roman Catholic, which is not married. So use what you got, learn to play the game of life. Florence Scovel Shinn had a wonderful book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. This is a big game. This is like one big master game on the computer, only you're living it. It's a holographic universe. It does hurt when you cut yourself or you get whacked by a bus. You need to know you only have one body. Learn to keep it safe and how to protect it. And I have a whole bunch of stuff to teach you of how to protect that earthly body because you only got one of it. Once this body's done, you damage it too much beyond repair. You have to recycle and come back. Like, I don't want to come back here. I want to come back to some better place. Heaven to earth. The same Mother Earth. And this is Schumann frequencies. You've heard the name Schumann?
Yeah.
Mother Earth normally has a frequency of 7.83. Well, since this summer, actually this March, the frequency of Mother Earth through all its earthquakes, volcanic activity has been spinning higher. We're 8 times higher than normal for the normal Schumann frequencies. We're up and above 64. Well, Mother Earth is going to spin so high that she's going to spin humans off this planet. You don't spin with her, you're gone. Earthquakes, volcanoes, volcanic activity, shaking and quaking, as they said. Soul shakes and earthquakes back in November is when the angels told me that people will have soul shakes, shake them to the core. Reality is not what you think it is, or earthquakes. And it's going to shake up everything. And the ring of fire in the Pacific is just lit up. You got to make sure you are going to be the ones that are going to stick around. But if you stick around on this planet, you want to stick around for the right reasons to bring heaven to earth. Now, they're going to maintain, evil's going to maintain its third dimension, one world government. That's not going to end. It's going to spin off that way. And we want to spin off earth this way, higher dimension. So I think of it as spirals, one going up to the right, one going down to the left. I don't want to go to the left. I want to go up to the right and bring heaven to earth. And all the things I teach are to bring your pineal gland and your divine connection to that higher realm. Now, the last thing, other alien beings that come to visit us, they have a third brain. We only have 2. In reality, their third brain is not a third brain. It's an enlarged pineal gland. They are divinely connected all of the time to what we call heaven. So they don't need to do Einstellen or any other thing they're doing. That's why they live longer lives. They don't need to come back hundreds and thousands of times to spiritually evolve. Our pineals are rudimentary, really tiny, almost like an appendix, but inside your head. Your job, like near-deathers, get that pineal gland functioning. Get it up. Get the calcification out. Get it functioning and working together so you are constantly connected to the source and stop playing the old game. So I'm glad that we brought up similar topics because nothing happens by coincidence. And you must say, I'm not going to accept this old way anymore. I don't accept it. It is the one saving grace that kept me alive when the doctors told me about their diagnosis and prognosis. I don't accept your diagnosis and I don't accept your prognosis. Well, I started searching for alternatives. It was what kept me alive. If I had gone to their therapeutic approach, I would not have lived long. Matter of fact, angels told me, you take that recipe, you won't be here long. So you want to stay on earth as long as possible till you have no choice and got to go home? The third door's been opened? You can take that choice. Or do you want to be just directed by your governments and your medical community? Oh, you got to do it this way. Oh, you got to live in a smart city. You got a smart first initial, SMART, surveillance, chips, and the way to be connected. Bill Gates just was talking about a new way. We're going to get rid of cell phones and we're going to have tattoos that connect you. The mark of the evil, the 666. You're going to have a mark that will connect you to the source and they're going to divinely control you. Brand new patent in the United States and in Europe. You're going to put little chips in your head and your brain will be controlled from whoever's controlling it. You will be a good little boy and girl, and you will not have a big carbon fiber footprint. The carbon that they want to get rid of is you, humans.
Yeah. I
They
really
want to
want
control the
well, I
population.
I
Yes.
feel like I need to say it like right now as well because I've been wanting to say it for a while and now I feel like I need to say this because maybe someone needs to read this book. But everything that you've been talking about today, and I didn't think that this was going to be the conversation. Like I said, Beck and I have just had this because I've just finished reading a book by Greg Braden,
Yes.
his new book, and now I can't remember for the life of me what it's called, The Future of Something or other. But
You'll
basically,
text me afterwards. We'll include it. But the other thing, you want to read some, they can get really scary. So yeah, the purpose is not to get scary. Just take what you learn and then know there's a way around it. All right. The Power of Now.
yeah,
Read that one. I have in my book, I have 283 different books that you can use to read about this stuff. They're Harwitz and Puleo, two doctors who used to work for the US government in the DOD or Department of Defense, who during the Cold War invented all sorts of viruses, parasites, funguses, and molds to kill humans, biological warfare. And this was Skeletor Island in the middle of Long Island Harbor, not too far from Southampton College, where I was going to school. They had a accidental release, affected a lot of people, and people got mycoplasm. That mycoplasm was a genetically modified mycoplasm. They would eventually, quote, turn it down or they close it down. And a man named Epstein came about and they reopened it, Epstein Island. Amazing. This used to be where submarines would launch and come from underneath Long Island Sound and to this chemical weapons plant and biological weapons plant. And then they'd have Epstein. You've heard in the news about Epstein and all these big names. Epstein worked for both the CIA and the Israeli Mossad to control politicians and movie stars. But the United States wasn't the only one, and the US people weren't the only ones that were affected by those things. Now, I'm not going to stop the CIA and I'm not going to stop Mossad. They're going to do what they do. I don't want to stop them. They got their things. That's their job, their mission and purpose in life. But to see how everything is connected, evil is connected to evil, good is connected to good. Your job is never to interfere with the evil. They have freedom of free will to do as they please, part of their contract. Your job, not to let it happen. Before Satan, there was the devil. Before the devil, there was Beelzebub. Before him was somebody else. And every time it comes to his head and that particular angel gets destroyed and they move on to the next. Will this game ever stop? I don't think so. We have to stop and elevate our consciousness so we're not in this third dimension. We don't have to play this game anymore. You folks in England, you're waking up and realizing this is a game. This is a big lie. Everything they've told you is a big lie. Step up to the plate. Takes courage. Now, do you want safety and security, which is what they want you to want? So they want to destroy stuff so you have safety and security? That means you'll also give up your divine freedom, your spiritual freedom. And anything that takes away your spiritual creativity and freedom is evil. Or do you want to maintain that so you have a place to live and food to eat? Or are you going to say no and you're not going to follow that? Yeah, you won't be able to get any of that stuff and life won't be easy. But you're going to recreate heaven on earth. So it won't matter because we're going to be spinning in a different reality.
Yeah.
Becky, because you're really like so intense. What questions do you have? I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, because you're blowing my mind. Oh, question.
Redheads are easier to read, so it's just so you know.
Well, I like the way you sort of distinguish between the good and the evil. That's because you feel when you're living on this earth that you want to control, how can I get into this evil and stop it? And you're saying you can't. So you're just going to have to let it be, which is
You
actually,
have to get away from it by
yeah.
turning the other way and be divinely protected. So
And
you
then
can't
it's like
stop
all the
them. The
warning, isn't
contract
it?
between good and evil was given to them, and they have the
Mm,
contract. They rule this planet. It has been
mm,
ruled for eons. It's not only
mm,
been ruled by evil entities in the other dimensions, it's been ruled by evil aliens. So
mm,
they're in our dimension. So you can't stop them. What you
mm.
must do is use God to fight them. Your divine protection, Michael the Archangel, the shield of God, the right hand of God. You must use a Jesus, a Bruno, and a Michael to your advantage. That's where faith comes in. That's why they're trying to get rid of faith. So
Yeah.
people will fall under the category of, oh, this is the one world government. We are going to, no excuses anymore. We're going to have a one world religion. Run away from that. Anybody claims to be the Messiah, run away from it. You're supposed to wake up the messianic being within you. I have a big brother named Jesus. He was Jewish, big guy, made the big time, right? He was an angel before he came down to earth, became what we know as Jesus. If you can't do that, go with the flow. Be so happy. You keep repeating in this life as long as necessary till you wake up. Me, this is not my style. I know who I am. And the star seeds and the children of God are all knowing we are here to help people wake up. Remember, we're playing an enormous game in life. This is an enormous game. It is not the truth. But once you know the truth, you can't go back anymore.
Oh, that's for
You'll
certain.
see through it. I don't want to play this game. I will find another way out. And eventually everybody goes home to heaven. People who have had near-death experiences, not everybody can have a near-death experience. It has to be pre-programmed. And most people, 90% of all near-deathers, know they're children of God. They come from heaven. Heaven is home. This is just the illusion they kind of come to. The starseed children are the other 10%. All right, a couple other things real quick. Never hate another soul. What happens if you hate another soul? You'll reincarnate back into the thing you hate. You don't like Jews? You'll come back as a Jew. You don't like Muslims? You'll come back as a Muslim. Palestinians and Israelis going at it? Chinese communists. All right, so don't hate anybody else. You hate anyone, you'll come back as the thing you hate until you stop hating. You're never to hate another soul. The only thing you're allowed to hate is evil because God hates it too. So the way for you to stand up and fight against evil and to be strong is to stand up. Evil will go to another target. I'm not doing this for greed or ego. I'm doing this for God. And evil can't stand it when you're telling truth and bringing in the light. They've been teaching people for years that their truth is the only truth, but theirs is actually, they're standing on top of their heads. They're standing on their heads, and every lie that they're telling is telling you the truth. And when you tell the truth, they're saying that's the lie. They've switched people to believe that the lies are the truth. Don't fall for it. They're going to create in Project Bluebeam this holographic thing and say that's Jesus. They're going to say this being Jesus shows up to the world, and everybody's welcome to create this one world government and one world religion. No, don't fall for it. Wake up and listen to your divine messages from your God voice, from your third eye, and from your heart, brain, God connection. Listen to it. Don't fall for this. Your voices, your ability to do this to help other people, whether in Europe or North America or anywhere in the world, is important. Don't let your voice be squashed.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's freedom of speech, conversation, freedom of religion. It's the reason the United States became the United States. Freedom of religion, how we believed, and freedom of free speech, how we can speak, and why we're here, freedom of humanity. Break out from the old illusions. Now, like I said, we can't save 70% of the people. They're gone. They couldn't wake up if they wanted to, but we can save 30%, and we'll be lucky if we save 2%, but be part of the 2%. Make a difference for Mother Earth. She's tired of it. Mother Earth and the angels are like, we're tired of this game. You've destroyed me 6 times. How more often do I have to do this? And she's saying no more, and spinning up to the right, getting higher frequencies. And those that want to spin with her to bring heaven to earth will master this reality. Come, be that. So hopefully, Becky, I've answered your question.
Yes, yes,
And,
Apple.
and Tosh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Unless you have something else that you want to ask me.
I think we've covered so many things. But like, I think what I really want to say, like particularly for our audience, is that everything we've spoken about and everything your whole message that you're clearly so passionate about with this, like, understand your divinity, stop trying to stop evil, just focus on yourself, remembering who you are, waking up, elevating your consciousness into that fourth and fifth dimension. Like every single one of our podcast episodes, that is what they are designed for, to help
To
you
raise your consciousness level to the fourth and fifth dimension. You're out of here. And actually, you'll never know that you'll change. The world will still spin. It will still exist. And you'll just notice it seems to be brighter and lighter, and crazy and nutty people aren't so mean and nasty. And will those populations that come with us, that God allows to come with us, that aren't even ready to wake up, they won't even notice anything's changed. This is the biggest thing. Those that can, do it. Do it. Make a difference. There's always going to be naysayers who don't believe. They didn't believe in Jesus till 2,000 years later. And now they're discounting him, right? Is Jesus from Venus? Is he an alien? Is Bruno Gruning an alien? Maybe. They've all had lives on other worlds. Are we aliens? Actually, we are the aliens. The beings that actually live on this world came long before us. We're the genetic experiments, Garden of Eden. That was actually genetic modifications 22, 23 times till we get what we are. Are we going to still play this game? Have you reached the end point where you don't want to play this game anymore? I think the angels are even tired of it. So make a difference. Your show makes a difference. May this actually touch other people's things. So there'll be people go, he's a nut. He's weird. But I am weird. Third definition. Spiritually unique and different. Are you coming and join us? Nah. People are, nah, it's okay. Don't badmouth me. Just, if you don't like it, move away. Go somewhere else. But those that are open to it, come and learn to do Einstellen. Those that really want to know how to do this, and you're a doctor, a healing practitioner, come and learn. Be with us on our weekend seminars. Come and learn what to do. You don't have permission to get rid of the evil. Only God does. You do what you need to do for your own reality and let the evil do its thing. You work for God and the good and go a different direction. Again, my name is Dr. Scott Robinson with a lot of alphabet soup after my name. Those are the only ones I could fit there, but my seventh doctorate is called a DCH, or Doctor of Chiropathy, or Chiropathy. I am a licensed religious counselor. I'm a PhD in comparative religions. I have a doctor of theocentric counseling and ethics. And I have a whole slew of things, a qualified medical evaluator. You name it. Just know, I call it my alphabet soup. Who cares? God doesn't care if I have all these initials. I'm here to help any way I can. If you're not ready for me, or if I'm not here made to help you, there's no competition in heaven either. So you will always find the right doctor that needs to be connected to you. I'm here for the right people at the right time. You're here for the right people at the right time. There's no competition in heaven. There's no lines in heaven.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Well, guys, get your heads around that. I think we need to go and absorb and process some of that. But I think this is going to open us up to having a lot more conversations off the back of this on the podcast, because it's a lot of the things that Beth and I talk about off the podcast, but I feel like this has been a lovely gateway into us being able to dig deeper into all of these topics, which you might be surprised to hear us talk about. But there we go. So until next time, guys, thank you so much.
God bless, be well, and upward and outward. Fourth and fifth dimension. Yay!